Canelo Alvarez, the pound for pound king, going up against Russia's most feared Dmitry Bivol, 175-pound monster, stone cold killer. You gotta give credit for both men. Canelo Alvarez is the pound for pound in the sport, and Dmitry Bivol, he's been waiting for this moment since he was a little boy. And he's getting the opportunity right now to fight the best, the absolute best in the sport, the king of the sport. Let's talk about the champion first, the pound for pound king, Canelo Alvarez. One thing that I always say about him, he's always going to have the upper hand in any fight that he enters based on one main thing: experience. He fought Floyd Mayweather at 23, Miguel Cotto at 24, Golovkin twice at 27. The list goes on and on and on. He's been raised by wolves. A legend is the fitting analogy when it comes to Canelo Alvarez. Another thing about him, he's never discouraged in any fight. When he fought Caleb Plant, yes, sometimes he was getting frustrated. When he fought Kovalev, yes, he got frustrated for a while in that fight, but he was never discouraged. He was always composed under the fire, and he looked for that knockout, and he found that knockout. Another thing about him, his body work is what I believe is going to be the main difference and the key factor in this fight. We know Canelo Alvarez, the best thing that he does, yes, he got a phenomenal right hand. He never telegraphs that right hand, which is why it's so dangerous. But most importantly, Canelo Alvarez knows how to chop down the biggest trees of all, unlike any other. Works slowly behind his jab, picking up his opponents, knows how to go on the front foot, knows how to go on the back foot, knows how to fight in both ways. But when it comes to digging deep, and when it comes to digging to the body, nobody does it better than Canelo Alvarez. That being said, he's fighting a bigger man, and Dmitry Bivol is almost like the better and bigger version of Caleb Plant. He's got way more power than Plant. He's way more decorated than Plant. He's way more experienced than Plant. Way bigger. Power in both hands. Caleb Plant didn't have power, which is why Canelo was never in any trouble in that fight. And David Benavidez, one of the best fighters in the world, he sparred Bivol for hundreds of rounds, and he was like, Bivol's 1-2 is one of the best 1-2s I have ever seen in all my years in the sport. And yet Canelo Alvarez chose to fight that 175-pound monster. And Bivol, he's been raised with that European style, light on his feet. He used to look for the knockouts a lot, which is why in his past few fights he went to decision. But early on in his career, 11 knockouts he's got on his record. Most of them came early on in his career. But as he's progressing, as he's climbing up the ranks, he's focusing more on defense, on footwork. Not so much on power, but make no mistake, the man can crack. His 1-2 is so sharp, he blinds you with that jab, and he comes up top with that 2. He gave Joe Smith a boxing lesson, and he was hurt bad at the last second of the 10th round. But him being the champion that he is, composed himself and came back in the 11th round and started working behind his jab again. Went on his bike, amazing footwork, amazing head movement. But I don't think that he can knock out Canelo Alvarez. Crazier things have happened. But if you want to ask me based on both styles, Bivol is an extremely fast starter. Canelo likes to take his time. He likes to read his opponents, and then he likes to make adjustments. When he fought Caleb Plant was countering Canelo a lot when Canelo was almost, you can say, he was too relaxed in that fight. But then Canelo made the adjustment. Instead of lunging in with that right hand and with that looping left hook, he closed the distance by feinting, by moving his head and coming up top with that left hook, just like Mike Tyson. The exact same hook that Mike Tyson knocked out hundreds of people with, Canelo Alvarez knocked out Caleb Plant with. And that shows you the high level of fight IQ that Canelo Alvarez possesses. But when it comes to Dmitry Bivol, you cannot afford to make Dmitry Bivol comfortable in the fight. But Canelo Alvarez, if he's going to win this fight, he's going to have to use the old school game plan that he's been using for the longest. Nobody digs to the body better than Canelo Alvarez. And I believe if Canelo Alvarez wants to win this fight, he's gonna chop down the body of Dmitry Bivol and plan on stopping him late. As the rounds progress and as Dmitry Bivol gets backed up, it takes a lot more energy to fight on the back foot than to be on the front foot. And not only will he be gasping for air because he's going to be on the back foot, Dmitry Bivol will be, but he's also going to be getting hit to the body at will. And not just that, he's going to have to deal with the presence and aura of Canelo Alvarez, the pressure of the moment. But this is his moment. Dmitry Bivol has been asking for this fight for the past 2-3 years. I remember watching an interview with him back in 2017, I believe. And Dmitry Bivol, not only is he feared, but a lot of people say that Anja Ward retired because he didn't want to fight Dmitry Bivol. Now, I don't believe that. But that shows you a lot, and that speaks volumes about how highly touted Dmitry Bivol is. So don't start talking about Dmitry Bivol is unknown, he's a bum, he's this and that, just because he's fighting Canelo Alvarez. No, Dmitry Bivol is that guy, and he's been that guy for the longest. And Canelo Alvarez is choosing to fight one of the toughest tests in the sport currently. All respect in the world for both men. As I said, this is the Super Bowl for Dmitry Bivol, and this is just another day at the office for Canelo Alvarez, daring to be great time and time again. I cannot wait for this fight, Cinco de Mayo weekend. I'm definitely going to be tuning in, and I hope you do too.